Hey everybody, it's Jason with On The Play Games, OTPG for short, bringing you a market comparison, a little market watch. We'll do this from time to time just to kind of help players see where the cards that are valuable and where to put the money so that you can get the best bang for your buck when you're getting in this game. And this game is an extremely affordable game, and I'm going to show you some decks that really do show how affordable this game can be. All right, so we got two cards we're going to talk about today. One on the villainy side, one on the heroic side. And if you haven't had a chance yet, make sure that you take, whether it's your force throw or your force choke, go ahead and force choke that like button and hit that subscribe and give us that little bit of bump that we need to keep doing this kind of content and let me know that this is something that you enjoy watching as we do these a little bit shorter videos about cards and their values. The very first card that I want to talk about is none other than the Kylo sTIESilencer Ruthlessly Efficient. I am not going to knock this card as far as it being a good card. It is. The actionability on it is a good actionability. There's a deck I'm going to show you that is kind of moved away from a sideboard card option that was there, that was taking a little bit more advantage of the actionability of the sTIESilencer. But the main driver of the sTIESilencer's value is, one, is a legendary, but it is also seen in decks like Jango Tarkentown. I have a version of Jango Tarkentown myself that I put together. But this one here is this is the OTPG one, and if you take a look, I'm going to expand it out just a little bit so you can see it. There is a price of $150. I'm not off about if you bought it on TCG. Supposedly, this is pulling the prices off of TCG. So when you're looking at that, you take out the price of the Kylo sTIESilencers, and you're looking at like an $80 deck. And if you can get into this game and play a competitive deck at about $80, you're winning. You're really doing well with what you're getting for your dollar there. And I think that anyone that wants to play Jango Fett and wants to not break the bank, or at least later on look back at the card they bought that did break the bank and feel kind of bad about it, stay away from the Kylo sTIESilencers. There is an acceptable replacement, and that is a Mercenary Gunship, and that card costs pennies. So you really can bring the price of this deck down to like $80 and be in a situation where you're winning store showdowns in your local games. And who knows, we might even see a version of this deck that is El Cheapo that makes the top 8 in a planetary qualifier. That would be absolutely hilarious, and I'd love to see it. So just kind of keep that in mind. The next deck that's really that's featuring this card that's being played, I don't see it a lot in top 8s, but it is a very explosive, very competitive deck, and that's going to be your Asajj Ventress Red, the Burn. This is all about going low, going fast, and going at your opponent's base. And it has a Separatist build to it on this particular version. So there are some cards in the space arena that are using that, especially this Vanguard that does the extra 2 points of damage if you have a Separatist unit. That is very good, and it goes to a base, so yeah, it's all about the base, all about the base. You got your Daring Raids. Daring Raids is starting to see 3 of it almost everything, but again, it's all about that Lurking TIE Fighter for what we're talking about. A third deck that's also using it is going to be Maul. Maul's actually done really well lately. Maul ECL has proven itself to be a pretty good combination of colors and specialty bases, and again, you'll see down here, only 9 space units, but 3 of them are those Kylo sTIESilencers. So again, there's just an example of 3 decks that I just quickly pulled off of the Star Wars Unlimited deck builder hot list. And we could probably we could go into other day tournaments that have been happening and see more of the villainy aggression, really relying on the sTIESilencer to fill that need for a 3/2 flyer that costs 2. List, the original Jango list that I looked at that I believe came in first place at a 1K. I could be wrong about that. But there was a list down here, a showdown winner, excuse me. And this is not the deck I'm talking about, but in the sideboard, instead of playing Bazine Natal, it was playing Unmasking the Conspiracy. And at least with Unmasking the Conspiracy in your sideboard, you are getting some value out of Kylo sTIESilencer's secondary action ability of being able to, like, turn 2, I take a card out of my opponent's hand, I discard a card to be able to play the card, but then my next action is I play a 3/2 into play from my discard pile. And that is a very good combination there when you can get it, but that is only 2 cards out of 50 that you're trying to get in your hand at the same time so you can get that little extra bit of value. So that is not what's driving this card. The action ability on this card is not pushing it. So here's the problem. You got a card that is sitting at roughly $26. Just the other day it was $27, so we had a little bit of a bump off of it. But you look at a card that's costing you right around $26, that it has a very small window of power creep that will knock it out of being in competitive play. It's only a 3/2. And as we are getting ready to go into set 4, we are going to have more space units. It's all about that space, right? So we are going to be seeing this card just, all it takes, little teeny tiny bit of power creep in the space arena at the 2-drop slot, and this card starts to be either replaced by cheaper versions of cards that are doing the same function, which is just put a 3 power body into play, or we're going to see it completely replaced by a card that's just way better. And we are entering a set, and possibly in the next 3 sets, there just might be a theme about them that have more attention to space units. And as Star Wars goes from a ground game more into space, I love it. So those are 3 decks that are driving the price of this card up, in addition to multitudes of other examples that I could give you. Now, on the flip side, we go to the heroic aggression side, and we pull up Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron is a great card. It's always been considered one of the either top 1 or 2 units in the game when it comes to the 5-drop slot. It is the number 1, in my opinion. It is compared to things like Luke Skywalker that cost 2 more than it, and Maul that cost 2 more than it, Darth Vader that cost 2 more than it. It is already built at the 5 slot as a overpowered unit, and then on top of it all, when you attack with it, you get 3 shortcut actions. You get to pitch a card to destroy an upgrade, you get to pitch a card to do 2 points of damage, and you can pitch a card to have your opponent discard a card out of their hand. And I want to bring attention to the destroy a upgrade, because in set 4, when these leaders are deployed as upgrades onto ships, it makes the ship where it can't be killed by cards or affected by cards that say non-leader on them. But Poe Dameron is ECL'd out on the same turn. Even if you don't ramp, you can ECL him out in response to that and immediately kill the new Boba Fett. All right? That's just that simple. So this card, it is looking on a trend to be, if you look at like where it was, it is on an all-time low. You really can't get this card much cheaper than it is right now. This is not a card that's going to end up being in the $15 range. I might eat my words later, but I'll be glad to take the humble soup when that does happen. But as it is for right now, it is a good card to put underneath the Christmas tree for your kids if you have kids that like the game, or if you just want to put it under the Christmas tree for yourself to kind of open up and be like, hey, look, I finally got my full play set of Poes. For this card to be at $22 to $24, it is absolutely absurd. And so I would definitely recommend, if I had a choice between picking up Poe Damerons, even if I didn't want to play Heroic, I wanted to play Villainy, I would go ahead and pick up the Poe Damerons for my collection. So later on down the road, when I find a Heroic unit that I want to play, I already have them. And I would, for the time being, I would stay away from the Kylo sTIESilencers and maybe just drop mercenary gunships in their place. Because these decks that are using them, they are not using the Kylo sTIESilencer for its action. They're using it for its 3/2 stat line. All right, to attack into A-wings and live, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you are maximizing your value in your dollar. Always want to look out for your dollar, right? And stay away from them if you haven't bought them yet. You know, they have been expensive since they came out. They were, I don't even know if they were printed at the same level of rarity, even though they say legendary on them, as other legendaries. They just seem very hard to get. Of course, this go around, Ahsoka was really hard for me to get a hold of. So I broke 12 boxes and got 0. That's insane. So anyway, wanted to point that out to you. As always, definitely hit the like button, subscribe, share if you can. Check out our On the Play Games. It's OTPG On the Play Games Facebook page. We're going to have additional content there, including this video. And we do have a Discord channel as well. There are invites all over the place to it. I strongly encourage anyone who's interested in the Hyperdrive to the Planetary Qualifier event series to go ahead and join that Discord, because we will be continuing to issue out and put out kind of preview content on that channel. A couple of days, 1, 2, 3 days, nothing crazy, and let members of that channel see what is coming before we put it on the Facebook page, before we bring it in any content on YouTube. So those are the 3 places you want to be, here on YouTube, Facebook, and Discord. And I definitely want to see you go to Discord, because that's where you're going to get your advance notice on all things that are coming on the way for the Hyperdrive to the Planetary Qualifier season number 1, because last season was 0. So season number 1, and we are going to be bringing all sorts of little goodies. I can't wait to tell you all about them, but I got to keep some of the Easter eggs in the basket. So for right now, cheers, may the force be with you, and goodbye.